Welcome to a new video, a new camera comparison, the Galaxy S23 Ultra against the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Welcome to Carnival Cologne, even though it's really gloomy, so we have to have the sun in our hearts here. So let's start with the camera comparison. So to keep it really short, here you can see the specs of both these camera monsters and flagship smartphones, and you can see that we have a 1-inch type sensor, 50 megapixels on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and we have a 200 megapixel 1/1.3 inch sized sensor on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and few interesting cameras here as well. The telezoom on the Vivo 2 times and 3.5 times, and on Galaxy 3 times and 10 times optical 10 megapixel sensors here, and also ultra wide angle, which is also, I think, pretty interesting. Also interesting are the front facing camera shooters, though here the Vivo is a little bit dull, 32 megapixels, but no 4K video recording, and you can see it in a minute when we start our comparison of the front facing videos. So let's get started. So here we have the front-facing video of the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and sadly only 1080p 30 frames per second, not 4K, which is a big bummer, and we don't have any autofocus. So this is also, I think, quite a disappointment. At least I think stabilization is something that they improved with the latest updates, but it wasn't so great either. I have now a zoom slider here, which I think I had already before, which allows me to crop in 2 times, but why would you do this? I really don't know. So this is the Vivo X90 Pro Plus front-facing video. What do you think about it? And this is now the Galaxy S23 Ultra's front-facing video, and the cool thing is I have autofocus on this one and 4K 30, so I can show you the Xiaomi 12S Ultra that I was recording the intro with and probably the outro with, so it can focus very nicely. Otherwise, how are the colors? I'm a little bit, like, as you can see, colorful here for Carnival. But this is, by the way, the Super Mario costume, if you don't see it. There we go. Might be a bit better now. Super Mario, yeah. And what do you think about the front-facing video here on the Galaxy S23 Ultra? It even started raining. What am I not doing for you here for this camera review? So we have the Vivo X90 Pro Plus's main camera sensor, 1-inch type sensor, which gives you nice creamy bokeh, and it's one of the best on the market, the IMX989 right now. So what do you think about this IMX989 main camera sensor? During recording in the video mode, I can also go, while recording 4K 30, to the ultra wide angle, and here we have the ultra wide angle, and this one also has good stabilization, can also do 4K 30 without any issues. But the interesting thing would be, how about zooming in? So let's zoom in, and we can see that this is 1 time, 2 times. Is it switching lenses? Now it switched lenses 3.5 times, so I think it is now switching lenses to the 3.5 times zoom lens, and this is now the fully zoomed in 10 times that you can record with this one. So I think it is using now the 3.5 times zoom lens, so they skipped the part where it is switching to the 2 times zoom, and instead it's directly switching to the 3.5 times zoom, which I think is way better, because 2 times looks still okay when it's just a crop in of the main sensor. This is like, now, is it? This is the 1 time, this is 2 times. It is switching to 2 times. Is it switching to 3.5 times? Yes, it is switching. So Vivo fixed it with the latest firmware update. Yeah, I'm glad about this. So this is 10 times zoom, and how it looks like. What do you think? I could imagine someone writing in the comments, I want my serious video camera reviews back and not this funny, goofy ones that you are doing right now. It's Carnival time. I have to do it. It's just like, it's law here. I get arrested if I'm not doing it. Anyway, this is the main camera sensor, the 200 megapixel main camera sensor of the Galaxy S23 Ultra. What do you think about this one? Stabilization, colors, you see my colorful face and costume. Probably white sky, because there's not really much going on there. It stopped raining, but I'll just leave this cap on here. And yeah, what I can do in 4K 30 is also switch to the ultra wide angle just by pressing. It doesn't have a slider here, so you can just press, and now we have ultra wide angle. How wide is this one? How does it look like? I think it doesn't do so much of the over sharpening that I saw on the Vivo. What do you think about this one here? Vivo ultra wide angle, to be fair. And we will start to zoom in now. And before we start to zoom in, I go to the same spot because I know this puddle that I was there before. You see the puddles here on the ground probably. There in between those little puddles I was standing before. So let's do it. Let's do the zoom test. So let's go 3 times. If we don't have a slider, we can just pull here 3 times. And 10 times, and this is what you get with 10 times. It's a bit softer. It took a while for focusing, but I think it is sharper than the Vivo. But it's very, very close. It's hard to tell from the viewfinder. What do you think about which one has the sharpest picture? I like this buttons for zooming out and in. Very, very smooth indeed. It's a bit unsharp, as you can see, and you can see the lens switching, but it's better than the sliding mechanism, even though you have also the possibility to slide here, as you can see. But it's sliding out, sliding out, sliding out. I don't see the camera switch. Very cool. So let's slide in 3 times now. We saw switching cameras, and we don't see it switching cameras until 10 times. And we can go even closer, up to 20 times zoom, which is pretty awesome. What do you think about this one here? The 10 times zoom and everything else here on the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So let's analyze the videos. On the left always the Galaxy S23 Ultra, on the right always the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. We start off with the front-facing video. What you can see on first glance, I don't even have to play it back, is we have much more natural colors on the S23 Ultra, much more yellowish kind of colors on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and there's some strange shadows going on. It looks like a little bit as if there's sun outside, but it's clearly not the case, as you can see here. And you can see also that, yeah, the playback is a bit choppy on my device for some reason, but we have autofocus on the S23 Ultra that we don't have on the front-facing video of the X90 Pro Plus. And if we go into the details, this is the X90 Pro Plus and this is the S23 Ultra. You can clearly see that there's more details on the S23 Ultra because we have 4K here, and here we only have 1080p on the Vivo. So yeah, it's a clear winner for the Galaxy S23 Ultra when it comes to the front-facing video. Stabilization, by the way, both doing a fine job. And then it comes to the main camera. We can see a big difference here as well. We have a bit of a warmer kind of look as well, as you can see, and there's a bit of darker, more shadowy look on the S23 Ultra. We have a bit of better dynamic range on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. It looks like I have like some kind of light on my face, so my face is a bit more, yeah, lit up. And what we can also see is definitely it looks more stage-like because we have more bokeh on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and it's significant more bokeh. Here we have the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Here we have the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. You can see the bokeh difference here. So when we play this back, what we can see is that I messed it up because this is the right way now. There we go. And yeah, what you can see is, like, again, choppy playback on the S23 Ultra. I think it has something to do because it's recording the videos in a higher bitrate here. In any way, we have both doing a fine job in stabilization. And let's go to the ultra wide angle. There we go, the ultra wide angle. And this one I also want to have in the ultra wide angle, just a sec. There we can see a major difference here. For some reason, the Vivo is like over sharpening everything and has this halo effect over everything there. HDR, both are doing a fine job, I would say. Also in terms of colors, I think both very close when it comes to this. And there is a bit difference there in terms of shadows. As you can see here, look at the at this side and compare it with the wall there. You can see that there's a big difference. There's a big difference in terms of yeah, shadow details and yeah, the possibility to see raisin shadows on the X90 Pro Plus. HDR much more aggressive on the X90 Pro Plus. And yeah, let's zoom in. And by the way, I was telling you that I know where it is, the spot, but I was off a bit, as you might have seen. Anyway, let's compare the zoom, you can see at 10 times zoom that we reached now here, and also now here. We have more contrasty kind of look on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, where the S23 Ultra has a bit of more details. Just look at this tower here, I think it's a church, and compare it with here, because everything is a little bit darker here on the X90 Pro Plus. The details are lacking a bit, and the S23 Ultra is showing it, but it is very, very close in this video mode, and this a bit more of contrast is helping with some buildings, like this TÜV building at the end here. Is clearly visible, where on the S23 Ultra it's hard to read because we don't have so much shadow detail there. We have a bit of resin shadows, not so much contrast. This is what I meant. Anyway, both doing a fine job, I would say, at the 10 times zoom. And yeah, we have, I think, a winner here. Slightly the S23 Ultra, because it's just simply optical zoom, and you can clearly see that this optical zoom is slightly better than on the Vivo, but it's nevertheless, it's like almost negligible, because it's like so damn good on both that the only thing that you really see is the bit of raised shadows on the S23 Ultra, and the S23 Ultra has the possibility in 4K to even zoom in a bit further, as you can see here, like 15 times, even though it is getting a little bit of jerky here, as you can definitely see with the 15 times zoom. So these are the videos here. Let's check out the stabilization video, and I'm a bit shocked by the S23 Ultra that you should use QHD here for this video, and it's using the ultra wide angle in this case by default. Before I was testing the main sensor that's way bigger, but it's using the ultra wide angle in QHD, but it's so damn bad, the quality. Look at the quality, it looks like it really doesn't look good here. And compare it with the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, which is I think using the main cam here for this super steady or ultra stabilization mode. Yes, it is looking a bit over sharpened, and yes, it's only full HD. So yes, definitely the Galaxy has some kind of yeah, should have more quality, but it's so noisy with the ultra wide angle that I would say the stabilization is equally good, and I would give it to the Vivo X90 Pro Plus here, simply because it is just sharper, not so noisy. But what do you think? Write it down in the comment section. Here the photos. On the left always the Galaxy S23 Ultra, on the right always the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. We start off with the low light photos at night time. Yeah, I wanted to photograph the stars. There were no stars out there, but at least I got some clouds. What you can see here is Vivo X90 Pro Plus with its 1-inch type sensor, and night mode is getting a bit of a brighter exposure. So you don't see it so much in the sky, even though this is a bit brighter, but here especially the details here, look at this, and then compare it with this, you can clearly see that we can see a bit more details here on the X90 Pro Plus. Otherwise, there's not much of a difference. There might be a slightly bit better sharpness on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, but you be the judge here on this one. It's very, very hard to say. I would say like equally good. When it comes to this kind of dim lit situation shot, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus definitely has something wrong with the outer white balance here, because it's way too yellow. But the Galaxy S90, the S23 Ultra is a bit too greenish, I would say. And if we zoom in, we can clearly see also that here the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is using its 1-inch type sensor to get a bit more of details, less noise, where the S23 Ultra is already a bit struggling, we can see it, and yeah, has a bit of more noise and issues. And the X90 Pro Plus doesn't have them at all. When it comes to ultra low light, we can see the same that we saw with the Mate 50 comparison. We have the Galaxy S23 Ultra with like a bit of a magenta and bluish kind of tints and problem with color noise. And you can see it here even more, this magenta kind of hue that we have here. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus also has some strange issue, going a bit more into the greenish kind of color here, but it's yeah, it's a bit of a mixture of both what kind of color you get. But when it comes to sharpness and brightness, yeah, it is yeah, no competition. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus with its 1-inch type sensor is really winning here against the S23 Ultra. There is no real competition. Now let's go to high-res shots. The Galaxy S23 Ultra with 50 megapixels and the Vivo X90 Pro Plus with 50 megapixels, but the Vivo has an ace up its sleeve, a 1-inch type sensor. Let's go and check the details. Here you can clearly see, yes, we have much more noise in the S23 Ultra, that it tries to fight against this like kind of dim lit situation. And the Vivo X90 Pro Plus handles it like a champ, even though it's not so sharp, and the Galaxy is trying to compensate a little bit with adding sharpness. But yes, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is winning, even though we have a bit of a brighter exposure. The white balance here on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is more right, because the lights that I have here in my room are yellow, not white. Though you could prefer also the S23 Ultra, because it's like compensating for this yellow and creating a white kind of feel. And yeah, when it comes to the books, you can see it's a bit of less sharp on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, but much more cleaner. And we see a bit of more noise on the S23 Ultra already creeping in. And this is something that you have such a high-res shot, and yeah, small pixels. It's just like interesting. But you have also a bit more clarity, as you can see here on this little globe, that we can clearly read what's going on, and it looks a bit clearer here on the S23 Ultra. When it comes to this book with its funny pattern, you can see I think both are doing a fine job, but here even I would say the S23 Ultra tiny bit better than the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, that is like smudging it out a little bit here. But the rest is just simply very good. Here we can clearly see the S23 Ultra's sharpening is helping, and the Vivo X90 Pro Plus has already like the focus fall off because of the large sensor and very bright aperture, where it's getting a bit unsharp here on this side of thing, but definitely more noise in the S23 Ultra. When it comes to selfie shots in dim lit situations, we can see the Vivo X90 Pro Plus has almost like a stage light on, because it's eliminating all the shadows in my face, where the S23 Ultra is keeping the shadows, keeping a little bit more of your more realistic skin color. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus is like smoothing things out a little bit and yellowing my face a little bit. When we zoom in, we can see both struggle a bit with the low light. The S23 Ultra keeps a little bit more noise in, a little bit more sharpness as well. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus is eliminating this noise and is softer overall. When we take a look at daylight shots now, yeah, it's a gloomy day, so yes, the sky color looks really like this, but you can see a small difference. We have a bit of warmer kind of white here and a bit of bluer kind of white here. The S23 Ultra is assuming that the sky has to be blue. It's adding a little bit blue in here. What we also can see is a little bit of more darker kind of exposure on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and the S23 Ultra is brightening things up. When we go in here to the little details, we can clearly see that the 1-inch type sensor is resolving a bit more. Even though we have 200 megapixels and it's like doing pixel binning, we can clearly see at the DM sign and at this light here, street light, that there's just more detail. It is like editing, it is a bit softer, it's sharpening up on the S23 Ultra to try to compensate the lack of details here, where the Vivo X90 Pro Plus just looks a bit more natural, just because it's does not have to do so much over sharpening, over processing as the S23 Ultra has to do in this shot. Now let's go to the next shot, and this is a very interesting shot of we were visiting Bonn there, and there was some in Duisdorf, there was some yeah, this kind of animal here as a statue. I'm not sure why. Anyway, I used the telezoom lenses. This is 3 times and this is 2 times native. And here, interestingly enough, I think the S23 Ultra wins because it's like clearer, sharper. I think the Vivo X90 Pro Plus was focusing on the background more than here on the foreground, or did not find the real thing to focus on, where the S23 Ultra was focusing really nice, and you get lots and lots of details out there, where the X90 Pro Plus failed. I tried to compensate with using the 3.5 times zoom. I cannot get everything in. As you can see, the horns are not in. Not sure what kind of animal this is. You can tell me in the comments. Anyway, it's getting a bit sharper, but you still have like the superiority of sharpness here on the S23 Ultra. And I think also the colors, yeah, even though are a bit overdone on the S23 Ultra, it looks a little bit more pleasant and lively, where and more detailed, where the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, even at 3.5 times zoom, is a bit soft still. Let's take a look at this shot. And up until now, I used the Vivo X90 Pro Plus with its default standard color configuration, where you can clearly see the green grass is a bit overdone. And yeah, again, the sky has to be blue on the S23 Ultra. This is why we have a bit of blue tint here. And the Vivo X90 Pro Plus has it more realistic. I can switch the Vivo X90 Pro Plus to the size color mode, which looks like this. You can see much better greens here, and the grays I think change slightly. When we take a look at the detail levels here, we don't see much of a difference. I would say a bit of more contrast on the S23 Ultra, and I think a bit more sharpening applied here on the S23 Ultra, where the Vivo X90 Pro Plus doesn't do this so harshly, and you can clearly see it here because this is like a huge difference. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus looks like a photograph. The S23 Ultra looks like a painting because it's so much over sharpened and overdoing it with the colors here, especially the green, which also the shadow details here on the X90 Pro Plus are much better, where it's a bit more too contrasty on the S23 Ultra. So yes, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is winning in this case here. So the main sensor, I would still give it to the X90 Pro Plus. When it comes to the ultra wide angle and macro photography, both doing a fine job. The S23 Ultra is doing a little bit more sharpening going on here. Both can focus very, very closely and very, very cool, but you can see it's a bit softer here on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Maybe I didn't nail it. Both failed to have this really, really sharp. You can see like how much editing is going on and sharpness applied on the S23 Ultra here, which is an indicator why the macro shots look a bit sharper. So the macro shots is like hit or miss on both. I would, in this case, it's a bit, I would give it a slight edge to the S23 Ultra, but it's like almost the same, so no point allocated here. Selfie cam, very interesting, because here the S23 Ultra somehow, overexposed the sky completely, where the Vivo X90 Pro Plus has the right colors here, also the right colors of the green grass here in the background. And when we zoom in, we can see it's a bit soft on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, but it's way better than the very noisy shot on the S23 Ultra. For some reason, I look very, very noisy here. And in this case, I really would prefer the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, even though it's a bit more yellowish up and beautified my face there a bit. It's a bit further away, which I prefer eventually. And just the HDR is working much better on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. I think Samsung can fix it in firmware. When we take a look at the portrait shots, we can see that the Galaxy and the Vivo X90 Pro Plus struggle a little bit with my hair, though we have much more bokeh applied on the S23, artificial bokeh on the S23 Ultra. You can see it's, of course, more obvious. But yes, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is also applying some and struggles with the hair as well. When it comes to sharpness, I think both are doing a fine job, and here we have very noisy X90 Pro Plus for some reason. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is doing a much better job. Also, notice the sky is not overexposed anymore. I think even a little bit slightly bit underexposed there in this case. And then we have a shot, looks also like a portrait shot. Yes, it's a portrait shot, but with the telezoom cameras. On the Galaxy S23 Ultra, it's the 3x telezoom. And on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, it's the portrait lens that is meant for portraits, the 2x zoom. And yeah, guess what? I prefer the 2x zoom on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus because it is just simply superior. The sensor is better. The photo length, I think, is better for portraits. And HDR is better. You can see all the shadows out of my face. It is just simply better. It's just simply better. And also you can see it here. Maybe the Galaxy S23 Ultra, but keep in mind it's a 3x zoom, is a slightly bit sharper here. It is just simply better, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, even though it struggles with my hair, especially here. But the S23 Ultra is not much better. You can also see some issues there that it just didn't caught on with my hair. But in this case, for portraits, I would just prefer, just because of the photo length, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is no slouch either, but in this comparison, you have to choose a winner, and that's the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Next zoom. Zoom time, 3x versus 3.5x zoom. What can we see here? Do we see much of a difference here? It's a bit closer on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. It's softer here. It's more noisy and more grainy and a bit more over sharpening on the S23 Ultra. Let's go and check out the 10x zoom, because this is where it becomes very interesting. Usually I would say Galaxy S23 Ultra, easy win. But in this case, I don't see much of a difference, I have to say. Yes, granted, okay, because the Galaxy S23 Ultra has a wider main camera, apparently, as the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. It is still a bit further away than the Vivo X90 Pro Plus at 10x. But do you see much of a difference here? No, I would even argue somehow the Vivo X90 Pro Plus has better exposure, because you can see here the details are slightly overexposed here, and here we can see the details in the wall. Also, this bricks here, you can clearly see it a little bit better there. And everything else is like very, very comparable. So yeah, the superiority of the 10x zoom on the Galaxy S23 Ultra in pictures, I don't see it. Maybe it's a bit brighter of the exposure. This is what's helping here. It's a bit darker on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, but the Vivo X90 Pro Plus keeps it more real. As you can see here, the green grass is way too over punchy on the S23 Ultra, where the Vivo X90 Pro Plus has the right amount of color here. So yeah, I would say at 10 times zoom, I don't see much of a difference. Maybe in higher resolutions, higher zoom ranges, the S23 Ultra shows or shines, but here in this like kind of dim lit situation, it was daylight still. I think not much of a difference. So yeah, overall, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, better main sensor, I would say. Ultra wide angle on par, I would say. And zoom lens on par, I would say. Very interesting. So overall, yeah, I would give the Vivo X90 Pro Plus the win here because of the better main sensor. But the Galaxy S23 Ultra seems to have the better selfie cam overall because of sharpness and so on, but sometimes can be a hit or miss where we have like the slightly overexposure. So it is, I think, a draw here, but you can write down in the comment section what you think about the photos of the Galaxy S23 Ultra versus the Vivo X90 Pro Plus.